And in today's show, we actually learned 10 different ways of waving into a camera by Nils Naujoks. And by the way, we're also talking about Lamborghini, the real race, the drivers, the prize, what is a pro, and everything else around the big esports championship.
And here's an 11th one.
Extra! Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Nitro Nights here at Overtake. My name is René, and I'm your host for today's episode. And once again, we discuss all incredible things of the virtual racing world. Just this weekend, one of sim racing's most unique events of the year came to a close with Lamborghini, the real race. But before we really discuss what made it so special, I first need to remind you guys to like and subscribe and obviously hit that bell. All right. What then makes the Lamborghini the real race one of the most unique events of the year? To answer this question, we will have a chat with last year's winner Nils Naujoks and also hear from some of the winners of this year's competition. As some of you might not be familiar yet with the format and what the real race is all about, here's a quick recap for you so that we're all on the same page.
All the way from the open qualifiers till the top three, the chance to sit in a real Lamborghini on a real track. The over 10 racing days span 3 regions, NALA, EMEA and APAC. It began on Monza on June the 13th, till the series came to a close at the end of November on the Misano World Circuit. Splitting the racing into 3 regions isn't an approach many events take, but it gives each racer the option to have both a better experience and time zone. After a grueling open qualifier and even harder races, 3 participants came out on top: Fidel Moreira, Jordan Sherratt and Andre O'Hara. Unlike any other competitions, the prize for these 3 is more than simply a cash prize. They get an all-expenses-paid VIP tour at the Lamborghini HQ in Italy and the chance to drive a real Lamborghini on the racetrack. And with that, one of them could even become the 2022 official Lamborghini esports racer.
As we just heard, the winner of Lamborghini the real race gets something way cooler than money, as they get a once-in-a-lifetime experience heading over to Italy, driving the real race car, and even getting a shot at a pro sim contract for 2022. That's a lot to go for, and obviously we want to talk about that. I want to talk about that with someone that knows a lot about sim racing. And so there, don't forget your name because I never saw you. I actually wrote that down here with an arrow to make sure I know. Nils. Nils, you're Nils. It works. From here, the arrow works. No worries. Nils Naujoks, obviously, normally we shouldn't introduce you. Everyone by now in the sim racing world should know you, but I will do anyway. So you did a bit of Live for Speed, I remember that, because we had been there. You're working at G2 Esports currently. You're also handling still the Red Bull Racing Esports team. And you, besides that, managing stuff, you also win a ton of sim racing competitions.
I try my best here and there.
Does your day have more than 24 hours?
It doesn't, but it should at times. However, I still squeeze in these nice Nitro Nights.
Really? You do? That's great. It's great that you come by. I get rid of the arrow now because I know who you are, so we can get that out of the way. But let's talk about Lamborghini, the real race. Obviously, you're a former winner, so if people don't know, Nils won the previous season. So season 1, this is season 2 that we just had ending last Sunday. So what makes it truly special for you, and what got you to actually participate in that?
I surely would have participated again this year, but as you just mentioned, my day only has so many hours. So because I had this experience already, I just shied away from it this series again.
And because he wouldn't win again, we know that.
Yeah, I think Jordan probably upped his skills even more for this season, so he wouldn't have made it easy for me. But what makes it special in the end is that getting there to be in Italy, getting put in the real car, no co-driver in there. All you get is a radio that you can safely ignore, and then you're in the car heading down Imola.
That's, by the way, it's something I'd never say to my real racers: ignore the radio. It's like I want to make sure that they actually answer. And this time they get the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo 2, so even a new model, which is, I think that's kind of cool, like having the chance to be one of the first to drive a new car.
Yeah, I mean, so first, the transition from the game to the real car is extraordinary because you also feel how advanced the simulations are these days. Then Assetto Corsa Competizione just got an update last week, so they got even closer, else they wouldn't make the update, I hope. I don't think their task is to get the game further away from reality. So now the transition is maybe even smaller, and getting to a car that has even more downfalls than last year is probably, even for him, kind of a new experience again.
Yeah, I hope that it's definitely a worthy experience for all the effort these guys put in. They put a lot of effort in to qualify for Lamborghini the real race, that's for sure. But since you're good at analyzing racing, maybe we should have a quick look at a bit of footage from Lamborghini the real race, and you just tell us what you need to do to actually be good at this.
Yeah, because Jordan was always very far ahead, we don't actually have footage of the winner here, but there are a few things just in that short scene that show you what still is important in these races. Sometimes you just have to see, okay, I might not be quick enough in this race, and in order to secure a top position, I might need to give up on this third or fourth place that he has right now. Also, this was from last weekend. Physics changed here, so getting a setup ready in the nick of time, very difficult. This is one of those corners right there where a lot of downforce was at play. And here, he just tucked the nose in there a tiny bit and gave the other car the option to, you can crash into me, close the door, or you can just leave it at inch open and try to fight the next corner. And the leading car here decided to bail out of this fight because he knew, okay, he was at my tail for a long time already now, and he's going to eventually get this position. So maybe I just choose to not lose any further time to keep the cars behind in checks because I'm likely not going to make it here. So sometimes in order to collect points, it's also good to go backwards and decide at the right time to give up.
It's a bit like traffic management, ensuring that you don't lose overall time, even if that means you might lose track position at that moment.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of things in racing where I think people just are like thinking one-sided in a way. They always think forward. I need to go past here super aggressively in the times where you have blue flags, for example. It's not necessarily the fastest way to put the nose in there because most likely both cars just lose a lot of time going side by side for several corners and just instead of just getting it done in one corner the clean way when both are really aligned on how this is supposed to work out, and then both lose half a second, everybody's happy. But
the winners obviously did that well, or not that often because they were mostly leading from the get-go from a pole position, just like Jordan Sherritt did in the EMEA region. When we think about Lamborghini, the real race, mostly the topic comes up regarding driving the real race car, right? But there's a second part to it, which means you actually becoming, one of the winners can become the Lamborghini 2022 Sim driver. And that's obviously a pro contract. Do you think that's like a fast track for you to make it? If you see one of these competitions and you know that that's the prize that's out there that you can grab, is that the fast way of going from zero to hero, basically?
I think by now in sim racing there are many things how to earn money currently already. Some people just go back to talking, what they can do best. Some people try in coaching and make a living there, but some are just really good in driving and try to thrive on that and make a living from that. And I think Jordan certainly is one of the guys, including the other from the other regions, who've all showed to be really fast, who have a fair shot at making this a living. And I think for all those three really, it would mean something to take that passion to the next level and make it a profession, a job. And it also shows from the other side, Lamborghini, that they are taking sim racing that serious, that they have trust and faith in these sim racers to actually give value to the brand when they put them in their own simulator.
Let's talk about one of the we already had so many unique points about Lamborghini the real race, but another one is that it was actually divided into regions, right? We had APAC, which is Asian Pacific, then NALA, which is North American, Latin American, and EMEA, which is Europe and Eurasia part. Normally, when we talk about gaming and esports or sim racing, we say it's great that we can play whoever we want, right? Back in the days, we already did like global tournaments. Obviously, pings are always an issue, but it was cool to be able to get it out of your reach, which normally, like if you're playing soccer, football at your hometown, right, then you're playing people from around town. But in racing, we can race everyone. But how important is it then to have these regions?
I think it's a bit two-sided. For once, you could say, yes, it doesn't really make sense to split into regions because, I mean, it's the same game for everyone. Everybody can compete, and whether or not if you're from next to the rainforest or in the center at the biggest town in London or whatever, you have the same chances. But then again, I think in sim racing, the entry barrier is just a bit higher than in any other gaming where you just need a gamepad or the keyboard and the mouse the computer comes with in the first place, because you have the steering wheel. Without that, there isn't really a chance to drive a race car. I know there are a few cracks out there who do it on a gamepad, but they need to do a lot of adjusting the game to really make it work. So in the end, you need pedals, steering wheel. Sooner or later, if you take it more serious, a desk won't do, so you need the rig. Then you're like, okay, if I have this rig and I have the 1 Newton meter wheel, that doesn't add up. So I need the 10 or 20 Newton meter wheel, and suddenly the costs kind of just go higher and higher, which just brings me to the point that sim racing is more expensive, and there's still regions in the world where I think they can't as easily afford that as the European or North American region. So it does make sense to split things here a bit to also give support to those regions that aren't as well gifted region-wise, so to say, or financially. And they can also take part in this competition and just compete locally for now. They're showing they're as fast or almost as fast. And looking at the scene the last 3 years, they are increasing pace more and more. So the gap is getting smaller and smaller, and it's only going to be a few years when this is going to equal out very quickly.
He said something that sounded about right. Like that one. I know, we talked about that, I think, a few weeks ago already. And I really like that there's to see other people making their minds about it, because I think it's needed to push sim racing forward and to push our virtual racing world forward, right? And which is also why I love that Lamborghini is in this, right? It just gives, as you said, value already. It gives recognition to what we're doing, and it shows that the competition is really fierceful. I mean, I saw all of the races, obviously, of the Lamborghini the Real race because I was part of it, but it was just incredible to see drivers every single time being on the absolute edge of what they're doing there. And that's cool to watch. And it's cool to see that so many people nowadays share our passion.
You also have to see that if you look at the points gap in the end that Jordan had in the European region, he didn't really need to put the effort in.
He scored over 500 points.
Yeah, I think he won every single race, bar one or so. Yeah. But still, he put the effort in, showing his dedication each single race. He wasn't slacking a single time. So he was just making sure to be bang on and not settle for a second or third place, for example. And what was the question?
I didn't even put a question up. I just said
I just
love
started
that
talking.
there are so many passionate
I'm
people,
getting more
and
like
just
you.
went for it. Right, thank you, Nils, for joining us once again here at the studio for Nitro Nights. And what is your next plan? Because I know your schedule normally looks full, absolutely, but it's also the end of the year. So what's coming up?
F1 esports always running late in the year, so the next thing I'm focusing on would be to get my team through the last 3 rounds and the last event of F1 esports. Hopefully getting the title again a 3rd time in a row, which would be a first, as was winning it a 2nd time last time around in a row. Guys are super excited, super invested. I think they're driving 10-12 hours a day, so that's where my energy goes, and then some news hopefully for next year.
Now that word from Nils, it's time to also hear the winners of this year's competition, because we talked to them about everything from the future to the competition and their actual prize.
Getting in's not that difficult. I think the Asia Pacific region's just a little bit smaller than the other ones, so there's not quite the competition getting in.
Para mim, o campeonato.
So he was waiting since last year to be able to participate on the Lamborghini the real race, because he knew about the championship on the year prior. So he trained all year long. He only drove the Lamborghini, and is his favorite car. So when the challenge came, he was ready and to be able to participate in that kind of a tournament against the best of the drivers.
Tão alto é mais difícil de alcançar.
I've only sort of done the sort of local weekly league stuff. Where I live, my internet's not too crash hot, so most of the big leagues want you to use like video stuff while you're doing it, and my net just can't handle it. So this is the the first one that I've been in, sort of esports comp. So that was all new to me.
Eu comecei a participar de ligas esse ano. Eu corri em uma liga antes.
Firstly, he ran a championship in Brazil. It was his first championship in the beginning of the year. Then he joined the Lamborghini, the real race.
Mas a experiência é somente nesse ano em campeonatos.
Sort of most of the stuff out here is Toyota Land Cruisers and Holden, so it's driving a Lamborghini is quite a change from that. And then the trip to Italy. I've never been out of Australia, unless you count Tasmania as another country, which, you know, they're all a bit weird down there, so it might be. Like that's going to be a bit of a shock to the system, getting over there and seeing how the Italians do things. So, looking forward to that one. That's going to be cool.
Eu ainda não sei como vai acontecer essas coisas, nem quando. Mas a gente eu acordei ontem e hoje e já pensei.
So he doesn't know how things will work from now, but every day he wakes up and he thinks about it, and he's anxious to be able to have this experience, and is such a unique opportunity for him to be able to travel abroad, and of course to be able to drive a supercar as well.
Nem consigo, mesmo não sabendo a data, eu não consigo parar de pensar nisso ainda.
That's it for today's episode, sadly, but hey, there's still the comment section where you can let us know your thoughts on the Lamborghini The Real Race this season, or what you want to see for next season, and what you want to see for the Nitro Nights episodes going forward. My name is René, and I'll see you guys there. You can't get enough of Overtake? Then why not checking out our last week's episode, where we had the chat with Race Beyond Meta if all the time invested and all the passion that goes into sim racing is really worth it. Or you could check out the Dream Team series, where we took some of your favorite content creators and let them race each other in one series.